All right, let's jump into the three pack. And so on last week, our team sat down and we talked about this, 7 attributes of like what are top salespeople doing, what do they look like, and so forth. So because this is called Mike's three pack, we could only really fit in three. And so if when you are done, if you want to get a hold of our sheet that has all 7 of them, you can email me at mikew@westusa.com. But yeah, it's funny, Todd, based on your numbers, agents are out there working.
Yep.
And there's a lot of positivity going on, and there's a lot of agents that are struggling. So the intent of today is to really kind of share 3 things that top salespeople are doing. I use the term salespeople because we are in the business of sales, and sometimes we just focus on what we do as real estate agents. This is just what top salespeople do, and
Correct.
of course we're salespeople. And I always like to remind everybody that if you're bored, just go on the Arizona Department of Real Estate's website, take a look at your license, and see what it says on there. It says salesperson. That's what we.
There we go.
That's what we are. So
Yep.
that's how we're going to start. So the first one, it can seem repetitive, and so it should be repetitive because we're going to keep on preaching this as long as we're still doing this. But we talk a lot about lead gen. We talk a lot about CRM management, but I want to emphasize the word master on this. My CRM system is the bane of my existence. I don't ever wake up going, man, I cannot wait to jump into my CRM today and enter all the notes and put in all the reminders and whatever the case is. Because typically, people who are really good at sales are really bad on the administration side,
Totally.
and this is what bogs us
Yep.
down. But it's really all about what top salespeople are doing is they've got their database, they've got their CRM, and they're constantly working it and working it and working it and continue to reach out to people. And it's always a timing thing because we sometimes get frustrated because we get a lead or we have a conversation with someone and we expect them to transact on our timeline rather than what their timeline is. And when their timeline pops, you want to be top of mind. I can't tell you how many clients I have that they ignore me. They ghost me for 12, 18 months, and I still reach out to them. But when they're ready,
Yep.
all of a sudden they're ready. So master your CRM, track your leads, track your follow-ups, set up those reminders, and look at automated systems if just to kind of help you out. But don't rely on automated systems. Don't rely. The automated systems are just an enhancement to your CRM skills.
Mike, I think when we talk lead generation, people cringe. They stick their heads back in the pop-a-mole hole, and what's happening is that it's because they think it's work. We've damaged the job to the point that people think that you quote unquote you got to go to work. Now I understand there's different behavioral assessments. So if you're high I, wake up every morning and all you want to do is go meet somebody new, and the D says, yeah, if I know I talk to 100 people, I'm going to close 1.6 homes. I get that. But the other 80% of the industry, which is the ones we always talk about, that don't wake up, like you just said, those are the people that are having a tough time right now, and they don't understand. It's because they think that they have to be a business conversation all the time. Mm-hmm. If you just call people to maintain rapport, continue communication, find out how little Sally's doing, because 2 weeks ago when you talked to him last, she was sick, different things like that, and you show that you care. This is like a 1980s thing from a woman named Danielle Kennedy, who was one of the largest top realtors in the country. And she said they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. But if you stay in community, CRMs keep you top of mind, no question about that. Came out of the lending industry, super tool. But at the same token, it doesn't have to be complicated. Let's stop complicating it. Let's just say you're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to call 5 of your friends, or you're going to, and just have a conversation about anything they want to have a conversation about. Just make sure you say something about, hey, I just saw this particular topic and I wondered what you thought about it. And maybe it could be anything, but make it real estate related so they don't forget you're in real
also,
estate.
we talk about becoming the master of the industry, or the term that you use. You need to be the expert, right? And when you are known as the expert, I can call just about anybody in my database and just say, "Hey, what's going on?" and shoot the crap and whatever the case is. And inevitably, they always ask me, "So, what's your opinion on the market? How's the market?
It'll come out.
How's the market going, Nick?"
I mean, again, the number one, it says master lead generation. We talk about CRMs, but CRM is the modality in which you track that lead generation that you're doing. Mastering lead generation is being really, really, really good at building relationships. And I think what we saw in 2018, 2019, right before COVID hit, this iBuyer monster was growing and was coming after our industry. Well, when COVID hit and relationships became the most important thing, we watched the iBuyers fall away. And it hits home the point over and over and over again. Stop worrying about the software and the technology. Build relationships. Leverage software. Use these automated drips to stay in front of individuals, but build your relationship. That's what mastering lead generation means.
Nice job,
Well,
Nick.
then that's a great segue into
Look at
point
that.
two,
It's like we
because
talked
it is. Because there's one aspect of, hey, I'm managing my CRM and I'm reaching out to people and I'm having conversations to people, but then there's a difference between just that and then also really just kind of focusing on relationships and referrals. The ultimate goal is none of us want to chase Zillow leads for the rest of our careers. No, I'm not gonna say nobody. I
shouldn't.
I don't want to be doing
Need to.
open houses for. Well, I don't. I'm able at the point where I don't have to anymore. But the thought of every single weekend until the day that I cannot walk doing an open house doesn't necessarily appeal to me. But yet sometimes that's all we focus on is just lead gen, lead gen, lead gen. What's the next lead? Instead of saying, okay, who do I have? What's that next step in that relationship? What about my past clients? What kind of continued relationship am I having with my past clients? Because you guys hear me say it all the time. Yeah. That's where agents leave all the money on the table. Is they hand the keys to the buyer, and and then they every 12 months will send a call or a text, happy house anniversary, whatever that is,
It's not
whatever
even a
that
text
means.
or call. The home bot sends it via email. They don't know what's happening.
And our websites offer some great follow-up systems. But really, it's about relationships, and so you have to define what a relationship is. You take inventory of what your relationships look like with people, right? Or the people that sell you things, like my life insurance agent. He's not. I hate to call him a life insurance agent because he's Fast Eddie, And it's that relationship, because relationships build loyalty. In order to build a relationship with somebody, you have to invest time. That's how you maintain being top of mind. And then that's when you can get to a point where it becomes a very, very easy conversation to ask people for referrals, rather than just having that on our subject lines or just calling everybody in our database. Hey, do you know anybody looking to buy or sell?
It's hard to convince somebody who's a consumer, goes to work 8 to 5, doesn't necessarily own a business or operate a business. They're just the most important internal wheel of administrating the business. But trying to convert somebody, even a caller on a Zillow lead, and Mike, you said it in the beginning, into your timeline. We get this thing called conversion in our head, and we're told constantly convert, 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 convert. But convert is a result. Convert is not an action. So the reality is you have to have the conversation to get the reaction, which would be the conversion, but it's at the consumer's time, not at your time. But in this particular one, when we say build relationships, here's what I'd just like you to do. Consider putting on a piece of paper the 10 people that come to mind when you just pick anybody you may know, any of your database, past clients or just people you know, and just put 10 people's names down on a piece of paper. Then to the left of that or right of it, put what they do for work. Maybe you won't be able to. See, when I grew up in the sales industry, they taught me, if I'm not referring business to the people in my sphere, Why am I expecting them to refer business to me?
That's a good point.
And so, the more, and that could be, to your point, it could be my insurance agent. When was the last time you sent your insurance agent a lead, or any of those other things? So when they come up with a buyer that calls them on the phone, hey, I'm interested in buying a home. I haven't bought one yet, but I want to know with the new impacts on insurance, how much is it going to cost me if I increase my home? If you don't want that lead from him or her, then don't create a relationship with them, because that's what you're doing. You're going to solely rely upon purchased leads if you don't create relationships.
And that's the huge part right there. And again, mastering lead generation, building relationships. You don't have, if you've done this correctly, and it takes way longer. It takes exponentially longer to get to this place than it does buying leads. But if you do this correctly, and it's just building relationships, so it's not something we as human beings don't know how to do, you don't have to ask for anything. They're going to offer your name every single time someone is talking to them about real estate. You're automatically going to be the first thing that comes out of their mouth. And the other thing that I want to put on to point to, and I know I say this a lot, and Mikey, I love you to death, but I'm going to call it out one more time. I challenge everybody to take past clients out of their vernacular when it comes to real estate transactions. Clients are clients. Clients are people who transact with us. In real estate, we call them past clients. It's just what we put them in the category of. In every other sales industry, those that transact are clients. The ones that have transacted are the ones that we focus on the most. We met with a bunch of team leaders last week, and the number one complaint from those 4 team leaders about themselves was, I have spent more time chasing the next transaction than I have looking at the people who already transacted with me, and that is the wrong way of doing it, guys.
So I am June. I'm going on 25 years of marriage.
Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah,
So
congratulations.
That's crazy. I'm going to call me in the ass here.
So 24 in however many months. This weekend, my wife gave me a lead for the very first time. So I have a listing appointment on Thursday. So
That's a priceless
So I've
story.
spent a long
That's
time
awesome.
building this relationship, and it's finally finally paid off.
Yeah.
All right, and then this one, because the other ones, I know this is repeat, and everybody's like, God, you guys talk about this stuff all the time, and it's just what top salespeople do. So if your business is not where you want it to be, then we're going to keep telling you because we care. But this is one we are not highly trained in negotiation tactics, and I always implore my team, study negotiations. Learn how to negotiate, whether you're negotiating a buyer-broker agreement, negotiating for a new buyer, negotiating for a new listing, or when you have a seller or have a buyer, can you explain how you negotiate on their behalf? Because this is part of my pitch with all my clients. Is I always tell everyone, you don't have to like me, and oftentimes you won't. But when it comes down to negotiations, you want me
in your corner, right?
And can you explain it? And I don't want to get political, so let's avoid getting political. But obviously, there's a lot of conversation in the news about our new president and how he's negotiating. And every person I've talked to, they're like, it's just all about the art of the deal. It's all about, this is just how whether you like it or not, and I'm not going to comment on that. It's just how he negotiates. And so we know how he negotiates. And so I would say, and I'm not saying go out and buy that book, but get books and listen to podcasts that'll teach you how to negotiate better.
Caleb, we had him on last week.
Oh yeah.
And then I went to his class this week on Thursday because I'm like, I got to listen to this guy just because of the way he paraphrased things while he was on the show. And the thing is that he asked, the first question was, what was the story? But my point to this, when it says perfect your sales, if you're trying to sell somebody something, you're not looking at the real estate industry from the right way, because I don't think you can honestly sell somebody a house. You can explain a feature and a benefit to the buyer, and whether the buyer finds enough of those benefits in that home to attach value to it, then sure, the buyer themselves is going to come to the realization all by themselves that they want to buy that home. And that, I think, is the secret to the art. The secret in the sales perspective is you have to be you have to find a way to let people come to the realization all by themselves they want to do business with you or they want to buy a home through you. And then, of course, it's all about finding that particular property. But when we come to the negotiation aspect of it, isn't it somewhat the same? In other words, aren't you really trying to get the other side of the transaction to come to the realization? It's really similar.
And learn the psychology of it, and learn how it's done. Now, Nick, you ever just sat back? Because I always tell people, you really want to, if you want to learn how to negotiate and how people negotiate, have children.
I was going to say, listen to your toddler.
Yeah, have you ever just sat back and just watched how your girls
That's called
negotiate
manipulation.
with you and Shauna?
Yeah, my 9-year-old this weekend, it was a master class. And I think that's the perfect your sales negotiate skills. That's scary for new licensees. That's scary for those agents that are 2 years in and haven't hit the ground running yet. They're a little bit unsure of what that looks like. If you don't understand what that looks like, or you see that and you get really anxious, you need to talk to a coach. You need to talk to a team leader. You need to get yourself with individuals that will help you navigate through this, because this is challenging, but you can do it. It's a learned skill. Never Split the Difference is the book that I would highly recommend. It's on Audible. It's a fantastic negotiation book. And then actively listening. That is something that everyone can do better, but that's 80% of this is listening correctly.
And there's a lot of great certification programs out there, and some specifically for the real estate industry on negotiations and getting certified. I actually went through that process. And it's a big talking point with my clients. So anyway, so that's 3 tips. Like I said, we've actually compiled 7 of them. And if you want to get that sheet of all 7, just email me at mikew@westusa.com.
We could do an hour on that stuff, man.
Oh, yeah.
More.
We should do a class.
Should.
Sounds like a good idea.
All right.